What's good, guys? In today's video, we are going to be building a very useful app. But it's not really about the specific app we're going to be building today, because I'm going to be showing you throughout building the app a lot of advanced techniques with FlutterFlow. So in today's video, you're going to learn working with dates. You're going to learn searching on the device. You're going to learn some dynamic stuff with buttons, making it a little bit more interactive. And also a bunch of other things that you can take and leverage in pretty much any app that you build, because these are very standard things, but there's some nuances when it comes with working with them in FlutterFlow. And also, if you are interested in viewing and or cloning the specific app I'm about to build, you can do so from my Patreon page, which you're going to see in the description below. So having said that, let's get started. So I was looking through this list here, these 10 Flutter app ideas that will make you money. And we talked a little bit about this list before. We even kind of talked about how we can build some of the apps. But one of the apps that I mentioned that really kind of caught my attention is this app right here. And I actually even said that this is an awesome idea, and I actually want to build this app like in real life. Like I actually want to build like a startup around it in a very local market, because like eBay is out there, and on eBay you can buy things, but this thing you can actually rent things. And another benefit could be you can rent and or buy specific niche things. But in today's video, we're going to be building this kind of app. And I want you to pay attention to kind of the mock-ups here, because there's a lot of interesting things going on, okay? The first thing is that we have a search screen here, and this is going to be leveraged using something called search on device functionality in FlutterFlow. And that's something that has its little nuances there that you kind of have to grasp correctly. The other thing I want you to take a look at is this check availability thing, right? So if you search on specific dates, you're going to see a list of a lot of cameras, a lot of equipment, and then you have to go in and check availability. So it's not like you're seeing things that are available. You're seeing everything, but you can, you have a second step where you can check for availability. And I decided to build the app exactly how it is here, because I want to show you how you can implement this kind of dynamic functionality. It's a very cool functionality. It's very user friendly, and so if you'd like, you can implement this kind of functionality in pretty much any kind of app that requires a user checking the warehouse, or if the product is there, if the apartment is available, if you can rent a camera, etc. So there are lots and lots of use cases for this, but it's not very straightforward to implement in FlutterFlow, but it is doable, all right? So now that you've seen the kind of app we're going to be building, let me show you a little kind of architecture, okay? We have a local product renting marketplace, okay? So we're going to have a product list. We are going to have a search. A user can type the name of the product. Maybe they're looking for a Sony camera or a Nikon camera or Panasonic or whatever. And they're going to be able to enter dates as well. And we're going to check if that product is available on those dates. Next, after they're going to be shown the products that they searched for, they're going to click on the button. They're going to go into product detail. And this is where we're going to be implementing this very unique functionality to check availability, which is not very straightforward to implement in FlutterFlow, but it is a fun functionality. I really like that functionality, so I decided to implement it, and that's what we're going to be doing today. And last but not least, we have a user detail, which is kind of their profile page, which is kind of like what they have here. This profile page, like if you look at this bottom nav bar here, they have a search screen, a profile screen, and a chat screen. We're not going to be implementing chat today, although that's also fairly easy to implement. I want to show you some of the other advanced functionality here. All right, so moving right along, we got the database stuff. All right, so we got the products, we got reservations, and we got users. So for products, we have the name, the price, the image, And then we have the owner, which is a UID, which is a reference to the UID to this document here, to this record here. Next, we have reservations. This is going to be a sub-collection of products, okay? Because the way I see it is that a product has a list of reservations associated with it. And that's perfect application for a sub-collection. So we have a start date and end date. And then we have a rating text. And then we have the renter UID. This is the person who rented it or will rent it, right? So remember, you can have reservations in the past. You can have reservations in the future. Reservations in the future are not going to have rating nor text because they haven't been evaluated. You know, the person hasn't rented the product yet, so they cannot evaluate it just yet. And then last but not least, we have the users collection, which is kind of built in. FlutterFlow gives you this very helpful entity here, this very helpful collection here with a lot of fields that you can use and that FlutterFlow can display, all right? So now that I kind of talked about this, let me show you my database. So I went ahead and created this database structure in Firebase Firestore, okay? So if you've seen my previous videos, I already talked about how to do it. So I don't want to waste your time doing it now, but it's pretty much exactly how I just talked about, all right? So we have users here, and I have like 4 users. One of them is going to be my login here, this one right here. And we also have 4 products. So we have a Nikon, a Sony, another Sony, and another Sony. So we have 3 Sony cameras and we have a Nikon. And I think the images are all the same, but that's fine. We can change that. And we have 2 reservation sub-collections. So we have for Sony A5100 and for Sony A7 III. So if we go for into reservations, we have 2 reservations. One is from October 6 to October 13. Another one from September 6 to September 13. And then we also have another camera. This is the Sony A5100. And it's got 1 reservation in November. November 7, November 13. So, you know, we have a couple of reservations there just to see if, you know, users try to book in the same time frame, if there's going to be an overlap, it's not going to let them book it, all right? So you've seen the database, you've seen the architecture, you've seen everything. Let's go ahead and let's start building the app. All right, so I'm going to call it local marketplace, and we're going to hit create new here. We're going to set up Firebase, obviously. We need to enter the project ID, so I'm going to go ahead and enter that. We're going to enable authentication, and we're going to create a user collection. Okay, so what is the initial page? This is going to be the login page here. I'm just going to say login, auth, and I always use this page, this one right here. I just like it. I don't know. Logged in page. So this is going to be the home page, which is going to display the list of products. It's also going to enable them to search, stuff like that. So we can create a blank page, but what I want to do is I want to create a something based off a template. So we're going to go to lists. We're going to come in here, and I like this one because it already has products. So it's going to be fairly trivial to adapt it for our purposes. So we're going to say use my theme. We're going to say start building. So we have the login page. So, you know, we see errors right away. And the reason we see errors is because we need to configure these third-party logins. So I'm going to delete all that because we're not going to be using that. We're going to come in here, delete that, delete this, delete that row. All right, do a little bit of kind of fixing it up. Same thing we're going to do here. And this is something you have to do if you're like me are going to be using this this template here, right? So, all right, so we need to configure our auth. Let's go in here. We're going to need to auto-generate our files. All right, so this is done. We don't have any errors anymore. So it looks like things are good for us. And we have the home page. All right, so on this home page, what do we want to do is we want to have a row that's going to display a search bar and dates. So that way I can enter the dates that I need to rent the product, and it's going to take those dates into account. All right, so let's go ahead and duplicate this row here because I like how it looks. I like where it looks. I like where it's located. So we have this row here. And what are we going to do is on this thing here in this row, we're going to have a text field. This is going to be a search field here. Let's delete that icon. Let's delete this text. We don't need that. We have this. Let's go ahead and add some dates. Now, the way dates work in FlutterFlow is that there's no date field or anything like that. They're basically text fields that act as date pickers. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. What we're going to do is we're going to add two text fields. Okay, we're going to have one and another one. Okay, these are going to be our from and to date. Let's go ahead and pad it just a little bit. To the right, maybe 10. Pad this one as well. And now we have two dates. And don't worry, these are going to show dates. They're going to have a date picker. And let's add a button. Let's add a button that's actually going to do the action. Let's call it go. Let's make it smaller, narrower. Okay, so something like this. That looks good. Let's fix this text field here. Search. Very simple. And you can make it maybe a bit bigger. I don't know, how about 75? Okay, that looks cool. So next, search is self-explanatory. Let's talk about these text fields that are going to be working as date fields. And the way this works is that you need to create an action. So when you click on this field, it's going to open up the date picker. Okay, so if I come in here and I search for date, I have a date time picker, and here I can configure it. I'm just going to leave it the same. We're not going to allow past date time. It's going to use current time. So that's the first date picker. All right. And here is going to be our second date picker. I'm going to come here and let's go ahead and add another date picker. And so the way this works is that when you click on it, it's going to open a date picker. Okay. Now, this date picker, you need to link it back to this date so that it shows the date correctly, all right? And the way you do it is you go back to properties, set from variable, widget state, and now you have the date picked. So after you pick the date, you need to display it somewhere. Obviously, it's going to be here. It would have been easier if they had a dedicated date picker. This seems a little bit not as elegant, I would say, you know. And so that's what we have. We have this date picker, and now we can format it, right? So it's going to have a timestamp format. You probably do not want that. You can click on here, and I like this format. And also, you want to have a default value, right? It's a good idea to have a default value. So I'm just going to put September 7, Sep 7, 22. Same thing here, right? You can just copy this value here. Confirm, okay? So now you have the formatting. It's going to contain the value of the date picker, and it's going to have a default value. And you want to do the same thing here, except we're going to have date pick 2, timestamp format. We're going to pick this one, and it's also going to have a default value. Okay, confirm. All right, so now we have the two dates. We have this, and I like to change my text fields to say input. That way I know that there's value to be read, to be manipulated, stuff like that. All right, so we have this search, we have this, we have that, we have this go button. All right, now what we want to do here is we want to search, but we want to search the simplest way possible. And the way you do it with FlutterFlow is that you leverage something called search on device. So if I pick this button and I go into action editor and I go to add an action, I type search, and we have simple search, okay? And here you can specify what kind of data, what kind of documents you want to do the search. And you have Firestore collection, documents, and strings. And so what I recommend doing is you want to go to homepage and you want to do a query that pulls all the data. That way you have the default data, because at the end of the day, when somebody comes to this page, they want to see all the listings, unless later on they start searching for something. So what we need to do is on the top level, all the way on top, is we want to do a query here. Now, before we can do a query, we only have users here. We need to set up our schema inside our app here as well. So if you go to Firestore, you want to create the same collections that we had before in the Firestore DB. So I'm going to call this products, okay? Next, we have reservations, okay? And this is a sub-collection of products. All right. Let's go ahead and see what fields we need. We need name, description, image, price, and user ID. Let's go back here. Name is a string, description, string, image. Is that how we spell it? IMG. Yep, that's how I always spell it. Image path. What else do we need? Price and user ID. This is the rental per day or per week or whatever. This is an integer, and then user ID. And how do we have user ID? We spelled it out. User ID, which is a document reference to users. Okay, let's go into reservations. Reservations. Let's open a document here. We have start date, end date, text, which is the review, rating, and user ID. All right. So start date, we're gonna have a timestamp. End date, timestamp. What else do we have? Text, rating, user ID. Text is the review, which is a string. Rating is the rating, you know, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 10, whatever. And we have the user ID. Did we spell it out again? We did. All right, so it's going to be document reference to users. Okay, so in products, this is the owner of the product. In reservations, this is the person who made the reservations. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. All right, so what do we have here? Let's go back to our simple search. But before we want to do the simple search, okay, you want to get everything here, right? So what we're going to do is at the top level, we're going to get, because this is a home page, regardless what people search for, we want to display all the elements, all right? So we're going to say query collection, we're going to say products, list of documents, and we're going to say confirm. Okay, now we have our list of documents, okay? The next thing you want to do is you want to pick this button here, open the flow editor, and you want to do the simple search. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do documents here, okay? We're going to pick documents, and we're going to choose our product documents. Here's the list. Confirm. We're going to say we want to search on the name of the product, and what do we want to search against, right? Well, what the user typed, right? So we're going to say from variable, widget state, input search. All right, so that's kind of what we have. Now, there's something important you guys need to understand, okay? When this page is loaded, we are not sure what to show in the list view, right? Well, this list view is just static. It's hard-coded right now because the problem you're going to have is that when the user searches for something, it creates, FlutterFlow essentially creates another variable that holds the search results. And so depending on if we have results or not, we need to show results, because if we do not have any results and there's no reason to show them a blank screen, we can just basically give them a message and say, hey, there are no products found, right? We couldn't find any products, and that's it. And we can keep showing them everything. But if we have products back, then we can show them the search results. So that is something important you have to keep in mind. But before I show you how to do it correctly, let's go ahead and fix this up. So we have a container, and we need to delete all the other containers here. Let's delete. We're going to leave one of these containers. The first one, this Zion Limited, and delete everything else. Delete this, delete that. And so now we can configure this correctly. And so what we need to do, guys, now is we have this list view, but for this list view, we're not sure what to show them, okay? We cannot show them the list view because that's going to be everything, right? I'm talking about from the database, right? How we typically do it. But we can't show them the search results view because if it's empty, it's just going to be an empty screen. And that's of no use, right, to see an empty screen. We want to maybe show a message or something. I think that's nicer. They can keep showing everything, and we're going to show them a message. And that way, maybe they want to scroll through an existing collection, and they can kind of, click on the products without doing another search, all right? So for this list view, what we want to do, guys, is we want to have a custom function that's either conditionally going to give them the search results, or it's going to give them the main list that we have on the home page. Okay, so we have two lists now, right? So I hope that's clear. We have two lists. One is everything. The other one is, as soon as they hit go, there's going to be another list, and that's the search results. So if it's empty, we do not want to show them. So what we need to do is we need to create a function that's going to conditionally return the right thing, right? So what we want to do here is for this list view, we're going to come here and we're going to say we want a custom function. Create a new function, and it's going to be called getList. Now this function is going to return the documents, right? And in either case, it's going to return the documents depending on if we found something or we need to just show them the initial list. So we're going to come in here. We're going to say document. This is going to be products, and it's a list. It's going to return that. It's going to take two lists, right? The first list is the products list, okay? This is the initial list that we're always going to have, regardless if they search for something or not. So it's going to be a document. It's going to be a product type is list. True, okay? And the second argument is going to be the search, what they searched, okay? So it's going to be products, search, document type is going to be a document, and this is going to be products, true, just not nullable, okay? Code, all right? And so how's this going to work? Well, all we're going to be doing is this. We're going to say if product search is not empty, show them the search. That means they search for something. Otherwise, show them products, okay? Because we do not want to show them an empty page, like, because the user is not going to know what happened, right? They type something, all of a sudden they see no products, right? It's not a good user experience. And that's kind of what we have, all right? So we're going to hit save, and now we need to configure the function, okay? So we need to pass the arguments. We're not done yet. For the products, we're going to come in here from variable, and we have the products. This is our products. This is the entire list. For the product search, from variable, we're going to come product search, okay? And we don't really need to do any further changes. Confirm, okay? Now this thing is going to return either the initial list, the whole thing, or just that search list. The next thing you want to do is you want to give this a variable name. I'm just going to call it items. I always call it items. Confirm, confirm. All right, so now list view is conditional based on what's happening with the user. But the other thing I want to do is I want to display some kind of a message, okay? So if they search for something, nothing changes because it's empty, but we want to show a message on the bottom. So let's go back to our Go button. Let's open it up, and let's go ahead and create a condition. Add a conditional. This is going to be a condition, and we're going to check if the search is empty or not. If it's empty, we want to display a message. If it's not, then we don't really care. So let's take a look. Simple search results, number of items, and we're going to say second value equal to specific value. We're going to say 0. All right, so now num_list items is 0, means they searched, but they didn't find anything. Okay, so now we need to do something. True, we're going to add an action, and we're going to do a snack bar, I believe. Yeah, show snack bar. And we are going to do something like specific value, no products found. Okay, something like this. And I want it to be a background. I want it to be maybe red. Kind of set it apart, and maybe the color white. Okay, and let's make it bold. Font size, I don't know, 16. Okay, let's try that. All right, so you see this? We're searching. If it's 0, right, we're not going to display. That's taken care of by the other functionality, but we still want to display the snack bar. So we can come in here. Let's compile our custom functions here. All right, no errors. So the logic on the first page is complete. The other thing we want to do is we want to make sure we're displaying the right things. This is the fun part. So if you click on image, we're going to say network from variable, and we're going to say items. We're going to say image, okay? This is going to be a name, items name. This is maybe description, or I don't know. Let's come in here, set from variable items description. This is the price, items price. Actually, let's format that price. We're going to say number format. We're going to say decimal type automatic, display as currency, confirm. All right, so now we have it all configured. We don't really need I mean, we can say search results. Search results. All right, and we don't really need that. All right, so we have our search bar, we have the dates, we have the go button. This is going to be find products for rent. Something like this. All right, looks good. Let's go ahead and test it out. Let's see if this works. All right, so here's the app, and once we load it, we see all the cameras available. And if I type, let's say Sony, I'm looking for Sony. I'm just seeing Sony's, okay? Now, if I type something like Panasonic here, nothing happens here and says no products found. So that is the logic that I like. You are obviously free to implement any logic that you want, but if you want this kind of logic, without showing an empty screen, that is something that you can implement. Now, here we have the date. So if you click on this, you have kind of a date picker, okay, that is kind of implemented in a very ad hoc way. And so here we have, I can pick, let's say, December 7, I hit done, and it updates it. Okay, so same thing here, I can make it 2025, right? 2025, and it updates it, okay? Now, if I hit go, it's not checking dates just yet. Dates are gonna be checked later, okay? So once we click on the camera, we're gonna have more action flows, more logic there, and we're essentially gonna be checking using very unique ways if the camera is available. All right, so now that we got this part working, let's go ahead and build the second part out. Let's go to our page viewer here, create a new page, and this is gonna be product detail. And for that, I'm just gonna be using content. This one is as good as any, right? Let's use this one, use my template. And let's go ahead and configure it. So it's gonna have a parameter. We are gonna be passing the product ref ID. This is going to be a document reference from products, confirm. And if we come in here, this page has a product ref ID, but if we come in here, now we can pick this, let's do on the container level, action, add an action, navigation, navigate to product detail, pass. Now we can pass that parameter here. And we're going to be passing the ref ID, items, item, reference ID, okay? So now we have the link between the two pages. And the first thing you guys want to do, this is good practice, is you want to get the data for the page, right? You want to unpack the ref ID. So if I go to high level product detail, I come in here, query type document from reference, products, we're going to say ref ID. And now we have all the ref ID fields and stuff like that anywhere on the page. Let's do this first. This is going to be our navigate back, so it's already done. Class, this is going to be the name of the product. Name, this is the image. Network, set from variable, image. This is going to be product name, or I don't know, we can delete this. Let's delete that. This is going to be maybe the price. Let's set the price. Let's format the price. It is price. We're going to say decimal type automatic, displays currency. This is the description. We're going to delete all of these cards. They're nice, but maybe for another app. Top friends. We can delete this as well. This row. Now, the way this button is going to work is this button is going to be dynamic, okay? The flow that I'm envisioning is something like on this page, right? We have a button. When you click on it, it's going to check for the availability of the specific product that we want to rent and using those dates. So it's going to check, if there's any overlap, if we can actually rent it, if it's available on those dates. And that the button is going to change depending on if it's available or not. All right. So how can we do it in FlutterFlow? Well, the way we're going to do it is the way you kind of implement this logic, this kind of dynamic logic, is you want to use the set from variable, the text, because the text is going to change, okay? And the text is going to change depending on whether it's available or not. But we are going to set a variable from a variable that's going to be modified by something else. So let me show you what I mean. What we want to do is we want to create local state. And we're going to create a string, and we're going to call it button message. And we're going to do this. Now, the default value of this button is going to be check availability. Okay. And so if we come back here, we have a button. Now we can set it from that local store, and it's going to show check availability, which is what the user is going to see initially. When they click on the button, it's going to do logic. It's going to check for availability, whether this specific product is available or not. And it's going to change the text of this button accordingly, because it's going to change that local state. We're always using local state as kind of the source of truth here, right? Because that's what local state is supposed to be doing. It is state, okay? So what we want to do, guys, is we want to open the workflow, right? If they click on it, we want to do something. We want to check if it's available and set the name of the button accordingly. So we're going to start with an action. And what I want to do first is I want to simulate it's kind of waiting, right? I like that simulation. Like, it's not instant, right? Because it is instant, but we want to make it a little bit more interesting. So we're going to do wait, and we're going to say, let's say for I don't know, 3000 milliseconds, which is 3 seconds. So it's going to simulate that waiting period. And the next thing we want to do, guys, is we want to add another action. And this action is going to update local state, the name, the variable that holds the name of the button. And we're going to set new value. And what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to set from variable. And guess what? We're going to have a function. This function is going to run. And depending on if it's available or not, it's going to set the appropriate name, which is what the button is going to display eventually. All right. So we're going to say custom function. We're going to say create new function, check availability. Now this function is going to return a string, which is going to be the name of the button, depending on if it's available or not. And so we're going to have a string return type, not a list. And it's going to take 3 variables. It's going to take the start date, the end date of our the reservation that we want to make, our desired reservation dates. And it's also going to take the reservations, the existing reservations, so that we can check against those existing reservations whether it's possible to book it on those days. So we're going to say start date, okay, which is a timestamp, okay? It's not a list. It's not nullable. End date, okay? Timestamp, okay? And last but not least, we're going to have a reservations that we need to pass in order for this function to check correctly if there's any overlap. So reservations is going to be a document, which is reservations. It's a list, true. And I'm going to leave it as nullable, okay? So we're going to go into code. And now we're going to be passing these things. And now we need a little bit of logic. And the logic we're going to be using is going to be this logic here, okay? And the way this works is that I actually got it from using AI-generated code. I actually typed something like check if there's any overlap with the date. And it generated something very, very similar. Let me show you how this works. We first check if reservation is not null. What does that mean? That is important, right? So if you go back to our database, not all products have reservations. Okay, so this product does not have reservations. This product does, this product does not, right? So if there are no reservations, if this is null, then it's fine. It's going to be available. Nobody booked it, right? So if you go in here, we are checking this part if there are actually reservations there. Because if they're not, we're just going to return book. Book means yes, you can book. Next, we are going through the list of reservations that exist, and we are checking for overlap. And basically the way we're doing is we're checking the date and the reservation, and we're seeing if there's a start date in our reservation that's before the end date of our desired reservation, and the end date is after the start date. This logic here enables us to see if there's overlap in dates, meaning that if there's a start and end date of a reservation, and there's a start and end date of our desired reservation, if there's overlap. Because if there's a start date in the reservation, it's before the end date, meaning that, we want to end it on a certain date, but there's a start date that's in the middle, and the end date is after the start date. That means there's overlap, okay? So we return not available, okay? Otherwise, there's no reservations or there's no overlap, we just return booked. And this is going to be the string of the button, okay? We're going to hit save, okay? Now we need to pass the parameters, okay? So we need start date. Let's pass start date. But we didn't pass start date. We need to pass those parameters. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's go back and let's do that. We have this home page. Well, you know, we need to pass the dates here as well, right? Because we need those dates too. So if we come here, we have this container. We want to pass more parameters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define 2 more parameters, start date and end date. All right, add parameter, start date. It's going to be a timestamp and end date. All right, we're defining it on the receiving page. Timestamp, confirm. Okay, and now we can pass them. Pass. Start date is, what is our start date? Widget state, date picked, end date, widget state, date picked. Okay, so now we have the dates. Now we can go back to our app and we have the dates that we can use, right? They're here, right? There's one more thing that we need to do, guys, all right? So we have this button here. And what we need to do, guys, is we need to pull all the reservations. And we're not going to do it on the top level. We're just going to do it on the button level because it only needs to be available in this on this kind of button scope, okay? We're going to come here. We're going to say query document, reservations. We're just going to be, you know, querying reservations for that specific product. And we have the product reference. We want all the reservations. And we're going to say confirm. Now this button, logic, everything has access to reservations. So now we can actually feed all of those parameters to our button. All right. So let's go back here. Let's open up our flow. Let's come here. Remember, this is update local state, and it's going to update the name of the button, the local state, which is going to be the button, the name of the button based on what the function says. So we're going to say custom functions, check availability, start date, end date. These are the parameters we're passing, end date, reservations, okay? From variable, we have reservations, reservation documents, this one right here, okay? Confirm, confirm. So let's take a look at what we have. We have a wait delay, which is kind of, we're simulating that it's doing something. And then we're going to update local state, which is in turn gonna be reflected in the name of the button based on if it's available or not. Let's take a look. Let's compile these functions here. All right, so let's run the app and let's make sure things work so far, that it's doing proper checking whether we can book it or not, whether this button is going to change you know, based on booking or not booking, available, not available. Let's go ahead and run this real quick. Set up a new test environment here. All right, so here's the app. Let's say we only want Nikon. That is kind of what we want. Now, does Nikon have any reservations? Let's quickly take a look. Nikon does not have any reservations. Okay, so that's a good test for us in any case, okay? We come back to Nikon. Let's say we want, I don't know, September 10 to, I don't know, September 27, okay? 28. All right, so we have Nikon, we have the dates, we pick the dates, we're seeing Nikon. Let's click on it. We have check availability, okay? So we have a bunch of text, a bunch of fields. Let's see if that works. All right, it says book, okay? Because there are no reservations. Our function saw that reservations is null, meaning it doesn't exist, and we can book it, okay? Now, let's try something that already has reservations, okay? So let's say I want a Sony, and I want to, let's check which, so there's a Sony a7S III, and it has a couple of reservations. So one is from 6th of September to 13th of September. So let's see if we can book that. So let's say we want 7 to 10, okay? We see the cameras, and let's say we pick this camera, check availability, and as you can see, it's not available. And that is because there's an overlap there, okay? It's not available. But let's say on the other hand, we are gonna pick something next year, okay? It's only reserved this year. We're gonna pick something next year. So if we go back and we want a Sony, and we're gonna pick 23, okay? Let's pick that. There we go. And this is 23, let's say October, okay? 23, October. Done. All right, so this is for a month next year. Sony a7S III, check availability, and we can book it. Okay, so as you can see, this logic worked. The only thing that's left to do is that if we can book it, we want it to be redirected to another page, the booking page. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that logic real quick. Let's go ahead here and let's go ahead and create a page. This is this confirmation page. And let's see, what are we going to have on this page? Oh, this is a nice page. How about something like this? Use my template. Okay, how about this page? All right. Let's delete these. There are 2 containers. Let's just leave one of them. All right, perfect. This is going to be our back button, and it does that already. This is the cart. Perfect. Checkout. Okay. All right. So here, this page is going to get the product, right? Assuming we're only doing one product at a time. Obviously, you can do multiple if you want, but let's keep it simple. We're just doing one product at a time. And let's go ahead and do it correctly, which means we need to pass in parameters. Okay, so we're expecting a parameter product ref ID. Okay, document reference, which is a product, confirm, and this is going to be all the information, right? So once we pass it, we're going to come in here, product detail. This button is going to redirect to the confirmation page if it's available. Okay, so what do we need to do? Okay, we need to come to the flow and we need to create a condition. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So we need to create a new condition. Okay, we're going to move it all the way to the top. This condition is going to check the status of the button. Okay, so, or the status of the local storage. We're going to have a condition. The first value is the local storage, local state. Okay, local state, local storage, same thing. Now, if the value is book, that means we checked it and we can book. That means we can redirect to the user. That's what it's going to do. Specific value, book. Okay, confirm. This true means that this is where we're going to redirect them. If it's not book, meaning that we haven't checked or it's not available, we need to have this flow. And so the way you move this flow here is you click here, copy action chain, come here, paste action, and then you can delete it here. You can delete it right here, delete action chain, okay? Because it's all going to be conditional anyway. So book means now it's time to move the person, redirect the person to the profile page, okay? It's kind of like we're building a wizard. It's a wizard that keeps state, okay? Add an action. We're going to say navigate to confirmation, and then we're going to pass the parameters. Product ref ID. Okay, so it knows which product to get. All right. So let's go ahead and try this logic real quick. But before that, let's go ahead and build this page out. Confirmation. This is what we need to do. The first thing, unpack it. Unpack this this document. Okay, document from reference, product ref ID. Confirm. All right. What else we got? We got the image set from the variable image. This thing here is going to be the title, name, and this is the price. And obviously, you may want to do a little bit of logic, multiply the price by the number of days, which is very trivial. I'm just going to put the price per day. We're going to format it, decimal, automatic, displays currency. All right, so this thing can remove it. We're not going to do that logic right now because that's very, very simple. And we're just going to do a checkout. And I'm just going to do it without the price, just the checkout. Okay, so checkout is there. Let's just delete all this, keep it simple. Total is going to be the price, whatever. Price. And obviously, you may want to multiply it by the number of days and all that. Have a custom function. Automatic, display as currency. Confirm. Okay. So this page is just for illustrative purposes only, just to show you how the flow works, all right? So if you have product detail, open this up, it's going to go in here. This is going to navigate to that page. Otherwise, it's gonna check. This is the checking part, and this is the navigation part, all right? So let's come in here. We have the home page, we have product, we have the confirmation. Let's bring it all together. Okay, this thing has an action, which we don't need. All right, let's run this and bring it all together. Gonna reload our test environment. All right, so I want my Sony, and let's go ahead the situation. Let me show you the situation where it's booked. So the Sony A7 III, 6 to 13 of September. So let me try that. And I want it 7 through 9 for 2 days, okay? I have like a wedding shoot, wedding to shoot. So I have A7 III. I'm going to come in here, check availability, and it's not available. All right. Not available, unfortunately. I have to go out and find another camera. Now let's look at a situation where it is available and show you the flow of how it redirects to the final confirmation page. So we have Sony. I'm pretty sure it's available next year or even beyond that. So let's try something like, I don't know, October 23, October 23. And this is going to be October 23. So yeah, for 4 days next year, Sony A7 III, check availability, book. It's available. I click on it and it redirects to the checkout page. And then from here you can display the camera. You can also have a shopping cart stored as list of products in the local storage. Automatically you can just add products on the other pages, on the other flows, and then here just list that list there, and then you can sum it up. Really, all of this is very, very simple. The real purpose of this video was to show you dates, to show you search on device, to show you this kind of wizard flow with availability. When you click on the button and it has that little spinning element, that spinning circle, just to show you something new. So I really hope you've gotten value here, because for sure you can implement a lot of the things that we talked about in this app in pretty much any app that has to do with dates or checking if something is available or not. And that's a lot of apps, really. And so if you enjoyed this app and you want to view and clone the specific app just exactly how I see it, you can do so from my Patreon page. And on my Patreon page, you can view and clone all the apps that I've built right here using FlutterFlow. And also, it's going to be a good way of supporting me, supporting my work, supporting the channel. And I want to give a big shout out to all the patrons that are supporting me right now. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And so I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.